Welcome to The Prize Inside. The Prize Inside. A chiropractor's journey in everyday holistic health and vitality. Here, your host, Dr. Jeremy Myers, delves into the remarkable journeys of everyday people who have embraced the path to health and healing. Through his practice, Dr. Jeremy encounters inspiring stories of profound transformation and the power of true healing within each of us. Stay tuned as we discuss various holistic topics and unlock the healing potential that lies within us all.
And welcome, everybody. Welcome to Whole Health Weekly. Tonight, sorry it's a little late. Me and my daughters were golfing. We were hitting some balls at the driving range. My oldest is getting there. She doesn't think so, but she is doing really well. So tonight we got a couple topics that were interesting. We have TikTok news from Gina. Gina is got me some pretty good, interesting TikTok news, and we'll kind of go over that. It's about mammograms. And then just go over the news tonight. And then hopefully you guys enjoy the 4th of July weekend. It'll be very, very fun around me in Michigan. It's fantastic. We got an air show in town. Lots of really cool things happening. So it'll be a pretty good time. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one tonight. So let's start like every time we do. This is crazy. We're on week 27. So this is principle number 27 in chiropractic. Okay. So there's 33 chiropractic principles that were written in the 1910s or something. And so we kind of go through them all and each level. So if you haven't done it yet, before I get crazy, remember to subscribe to my Rumble channel. The Rumble channel I really like because it kind of breaks it down really nicely. If you just get on there and subscribe, it's free. But then it goes through and you can kind of discern, it's got a really good way to, you can kind of watch all of those different ones. Okay. So with that we also getting big on the old podcast, which I love. So here is the addition to the podcast, and this one's on Apple, Spotify, all those different ones. So make sure you subscribe and like any of those. We get some pretty good traction on the podcast. I think people enjoy listening to that. So any of those places, just get in there and subscribe. I'm up to 43 members. I'm so pumped on the Rumble. We're also on YouTube. So if you watch a lot of stuff, I think it's just Jeremy and Rachel or something like that. I'll probably rename the channel, possibly just get it closer to what we know, as so you guys can find it a little easier. But so with that said, let's go into principle number 27. And then if you have missed any of these principles, just go back to the beginning of all the Whole Health Weeklies, and you can listen to them 1 through 26. That's already there. So here is principle number 27. So principle number 27 remember, this is 1900s speak. Okay. So this one says the normality of innate intelligence. Innate intelligence is always normal and its function is always normal. So what they're saying is, we talk about this at length a lot, right? The innate intelligence of our body is the innate intelligence within our matter. It's us. It's the consciousness. It's the what makes sense of how this perfect organized system is, right? So we have this organized system, and it's called innate intelligence. God put that on us because we have these universal intelligence that's around us that is essentially keeping organization to the world, right? And to be part of that world and to go into that, we needed an intelligence, and that's the intelligence within each and every single cell. Here is the thing. We believe in chiropractic and really understand this, that the innate intelligence of our body is perfect. It's perfect. It gives you exactly the amount of energy you need. It gives you the exact amount of anything you need, right? The differences in where we get a disconnect is when there's a lack of connection or communication to this innate intelligence expressing itself correctly. A good example that I love, you're watching a TV channel on how to cook or bake this beautiful cake, but it's back in the days of an antenna. Okay. So you have this antenna that's reaching out, grabbing this signal, and it's telling you how to bake this cake. If that antenna signal is perfect, like throughout the entire, cooking lesson, you have a nice, beautiful cake. But what if you get static in the time of how many eggs do you need? What if you get, and then you miss that part? You can't go back. It's like, what is a live show, and you get the static of like how that occurs. All right, sorry. I got a dog that likes to bust open this one door, so it's hilarious. But you can kind of understand with that kind of concept. Let's say Martha Stewart is making this amazing cake, but it's only one-time deal. You're only going to see it once. And all of a sudden, static goes on your TV exactly when she tells you how many eggs you need and how much butter. And she's never going to do it again. That's kind of what we call a subluxation or dis-ease. So think of like dis-ease as instead of disease, it's dis-ease. So lack of ease. If your body is perfect and everything's flowing right, you have ease. If it's disconnected through your nervous system not connecting, through a lot of these other things, you will have a disassociation or disconnection, which leads to dis-ease. All right. There we go. I nerded out on principle number 27. And innate intelligence is always perfect. We just have to, take care of what we got to get that perfection. All right. So let's go into, I think Gina's is going to be really interesting. So she brought up, let me get into that. She brought up mammograms. So I just want to see what's in the news. Okay. So I want to see what the debate is on mammograms before we discuss it. All right. And I find these little suggestion things in here. Okay. So I'll read this off of the little AI thing I just used, and it just kind of scours the internet, and we'll talk about what they're talking about, and we'll discuss. So the hype around mammograms stems from their role as the primary screening tool for breast cancer, heavily promoted for early detection, which is linked to better treatment outcomes. The enthusiasm comes from decades of public health campaigns, medical guidelines, and stats showing that regular mammograms can reduce breast cancer mortality by 20 to 40% in women ages 40 to 74. Per studies like those from the American Cancer Society, Pink Ribbon initiatives, and awareness months amplify the message, making mammograms a cultural touchstone for women's health. But there's a flip side. Some argue the hype glosses over limitations. Mammograms can miss cancers, false negatives, especially in dense breasts, lead to false positives, causing anxiety and unnecessary biopsies, and sometimes detect slow-growing cancers that might never cause harm, overdiagnosed. Critics like those of the Cochrane collaboration point out that for every 2,000 women screened over 10 years, only about 10 lives are saved, while 200 face false positives. There's also a debate about age. Some guidelines suggest starting at 50, not 40, to balance benefits and risks. Plus, the procedure itself, radiation, exposure, discomfort, gets downplayed in the push for universal screening. So the hype is rooted in real benefits, but can feel overblown when the nuances aren't discussed. It's a lifesaver for some, but not a perfect tool. And the blanket, yet get your mammogram messaging doesn't always capture that. If you're digging deeper, I'm sorry, that you don't need that. If you're digging deeper, I can search for more recent takes on the web. Let's see. That's what's kind of cool about this AI stuff. you can really hone in your yeah. All right. So, okay. So let's talk about this. So as a doctor, I'm not going to say not to get those mammograms, right? So mammograms are something that could be a great tool. Are they? Remember what we talk about. So this is what I will say. There's what causes dis-ease, what we just talked about in the innate intelligence of the world. What causes it? There's three things: thoughts, toxins, trauma. Okay. So one of the problems is you saw that 200 people, 200 like false positives per 2,000, right? In those 200, when you use the word cancer in any situation, you are going to cause an anxiety that leads to thoughts that cause disease, right? The thoughts now, you get anxiety, you get increased endorphin or cortisol levels, you get a lot of these kind of situations. So I would say, because there is a debate that says, do we need to do them, especially as often as we do? And I would say, because it's an imperfect tool, I would say, it's on your discernment. Just depends on how you feel. They're uncomfortable. They're terrible. A lot of people were like, nah, I ain't going to do it. And the other thing that happens a lot is that they may pick up this false positive on a tissue cyst, or, there's a lot of different issues in the breast tissue that can be misnomered as cancer. I would just caution when you go in, be in a great mindset if you want to go do something like that, right? And so I would say study it before you say, yes or no, because I don't want you to, vie on the side of like, oh no, I'm not going to do it just because this one article said not to. I always say, for me, in the holistic space, a lot of the testing is what I want. A good example. I was just talking to a patient about this. One of the reasons I love the registered herbalist is one of my teachers. Her name's Dr. Lowdog. Dr. Lowdog, hopefully I'm going to have her on at some point. I'm going to get her as an interview. She's phenomenal. But Dr. Lowdog was talking, and when she's a medical doctor out in New Mexico. And when she was out there in New Mexico, she was starting to take care of patients. And there's a lot of different, cultures that are out in New Mexico. You have Mexican families, you have Indian families, you have a lot of those. And so different situations. Well, if she found something profound before she was an herbalist, she'd have a dad come in and go, hey, my heart's not feeling good. Can we do some testing? So they would do some blood work and, a heart thing. And they were like, all right, sir, you got a little high blood pressure. He goes, oh, okay. Is that what the tests say? Oh, yep. Okay. Thank you. And she'd be like, wait, are you going to get the blood? Are you going to get your medicine or what? He goes, no, I got an herb for that. And he'd leave. Right. Or the other one, she said, oh, my grandma makes this one concoction with these certain flowers, and I'll start taking that. Thank you for the testing. Right. So one of the things that we could all agree on is the testing's phenomenal. It's like the medical testing we've had and the innovations in that will always continue to go forward. It's how you approach these things and doing due diligence versus just, taking somebody's word for it. And my hope is, like, the more and more we study different things, the more you'll do that. Right. So, I had a great discussion on a guy. One of my patients was, talking about apple cider vinegar. He's like, I'm not doing that every day. It's crazy. I see it all over the place. I go, and then I explained to him one of the things is a little bit of that apple cider vinegar can go a long way. A little spoonful. You don't need a ton. And a lot of places will tout like drinking that crap all day. You can cause other problems than, so what can happen. Okay. Your stomach can actually be too acidic and too basic. In my holistic world, I know that. We'll figure it out at some point. I'm going to mark this podcast. All of a sudden, maybe I'll be the trend, because I've seen that before. We've talked about it on this show, and either, the universe talks about it or whatever, but you can have a too basic stomach, which is the exact same thing. is the exact same thing. You can't digest right. You have uncomfortable discomfort, those kind of things. So you can actually go the other way. So you just got to be careful with a lot of these different things. So I would say always side on caution, but I wish doctors would understand this, but you're not going to stop people from doing those things. Unfortunately, I could say no all the time, but we're going to still try. Right. And that's going to happen over the life of, all those things. So just make sure you consult your doctor. What do you feel good about in the mammogram situation? But it is a big buzz right now of should we do it at 40 or 50? What is the situation? So I think I answered Gina's question. Oh, yeah. So it is. It's like her question basically was saying, are mammograms helpful or are they an issue? I would say because of the three factors, thoughts, toxins, trauma, because of those three, you must take that into consideration. If you get one and you get a diagnosis that could potentially be a false positive, are you going to lose your mind? Are you going to have these new thoughts that are going to screw up the physiology of your body? Okay. Because that's one of the major causes of disease. What you think about is what you get. What you think about and then you become, right? These are all things that happen. So that was a good one. I liked it, Gina. Good job. All right. So let's go look at trends of the social media world. Let's see what we got going this week. All right. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. So gut health still remains a major focus. Sharing tips on prebiotics, probiotics, and fermented foods. Fermented foods like kimchi or kefir. If you've been with me for a long time, it's really not a trend that me and you have to worry about because we've done it for a really long time. Oh, before I get into this, I forgot, since I have 5 of you amazing people on, if you like tonight, hang on, I'm going to be right back. I got to go get this. It's going to be magic. Wow. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I just had something exciting happening. So some of you know, but maybe some of you don't. I have this invention hobby, and my first successful invention I have a what they call a license deal with this company called Vive Health. Let me see if I can get it on there. Vive Health. This is it. This is my carpal tunnel brace. Dang it. Sorry. My camera. There we go. So this is my carpal tunnel brace. They are repackaging it. And so it's going to be prettier and those things. It's been with their company and they've been doing it for almost a year, probably a little bit longer, and it's going. So they're going to do a repackage deal. Well, in that repackage deal, they were generous enough to give me all these package ones. There's a 2-pack and a 1-pack. And these are for people that have wrist pain that may be leading to carpal tunnel. I can't say it cures carpal tunnel, but what it does is it's 2 elastics that actually hold your hand in a position that allows your tunnel to stay a tunnel when you're typing and all those kind of things. Really, really good for people that type all day or exercise or, those kind of things where you flatten your carpal tunnel or you work with your hands. The beauty of this is it's a wrist brace you can actually wear while you're working. Most of the ones on the market, you can't really wear and still type. You can't really wear and do your job, right, with your hands. So this one is a way to prevent a lot of wrist issues, in there with being able to the comfort of just wearing it all day. It's very comfortable. You can adjust it to a point where you don't even feel it's on and it's still working. Because remember, if you go back, I should do a whole thing. I think I did a carpal tunnel one. There's arches in your hand, right? So you have it arches in your feet. You have 3 different arches in your hand. and one of them is the carpal tunnel, and there's a few other ones that we won't go into tonight, but that those arches are what keeps your hands strong. Okay. It's very not known that these arches are just like the arches of your feet. Imagine if your arch collapses on your foot. You're going to have major issues and you probably won't feel your toes, but you can see that arch collapse. So it's pretty easy. In your carpal tunnel, you don't visually see that arch collapsing basically on itself. So what this does is protect that while you're typing and all those things. So so all you got to do is say, I want one. And if you're one of the 20, the first 20 in this chat anytime today, and even if you're watching the recording, put it in there on wherever you're watching from, I will get you one of these for free. I'm giving it away, baby. I'm so excited. So I have 20 that I'm willing to give away. So put it in there. Julie, you already got one. I got you one sitting now on there. So hopefully you'll really like it and they're pumped. The only thing they requested is if I do this, which I'm doing, if you wear it and you really like it, because I really want real comments and those kind of things, video yourself and tell us how you like it and then send me the video. So it kind of helps the company out with those testimonials out there. So hopefully that was this little side note. Sorry. Let's go back to gut health. So this is a trend, this gut health thing where it's fermented foods, kimchi, all these things. Gut healing diets, huge. Right now we have it at our office. You can do one with me. We've got it all set up for gut health, gut microbiome situation. I got a few patients doing that now. So if you're interested, reach out because it's totally worth it. Let's read this. While probiotics can support digestion, the market's $85 billion projection by 2027 doesn't mean every product is effective. Most need specific strains and doses tailored to individuals. Always check with a doctor before jumping in. So this is going to be the new trend that I got to keep on top of my 1% tribers, because it's going to be the place where you're going to spend a lot of money if you don't understand what you're getting into. So the amount of money that we'll spend, 85 billion, is going to go into gut health. Okay. This means pharmaceuticals are going to get in there. This means the latest and greatest nutrition things are going to get in there. Right. And what we have to do is have an actual plan. Gut health is essentially, to me, it's like trying to get really good soil. It takes a while. It takes some time. You have to do it right. And once that soil takes off, then the good stuff, then the good vegetables start popping up. So don't take this lightly. If you get into this, don't just try willy-nilly. There's tons of stuff. And a lot of my things on the Prize Inside podcast and Rumble could help you out a little bit. There's things in herbs like the bitters and the choleretics and cholagogues. And there's a lot of cool things you can do to aid that digestion moving forward. So just remember that when you're talking gut health, I would love to work with each and every one of you, in that situation. And then you get the power of knowing how to do it versus what's about to happen. We're going to have the advertising full of gut health stuff. Okay. So this is the next one. I thought this was pretty cool because I've studied this a little bit. There's a couple new ones in here. So let's read this one. Intermittent fasting, dopamine fasts, which I do not know what that is yet. And even skin fast. Skin fast is skipping skincare products, which I can totally agree with that. That's like that shouldn't even be a fast. You should probably do that in your life anyway. Your skin has its own microbiome and you want to make sure you're taking care of that, right? So you want to make sure you're not you got to get rid of some skincare products once in a while. All right. Well, fasting can benefit some. Social media is oversimplifying it ignoring risks like nutrient deficiencies or disordered eating patterns for certain groups. Be wary of those kind of extreme intermittent fasting. Okay, so there's a ton of research on intermittent fasting. All right. Okay, sorry. All right. So, sorry, one of my Facebook things popped off there for some reason. But so anyway, so intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is one of the the most studied situations out there. It is really, really good. And it can be a super benefit. There we go. So that it can be a really, really good oh yeah, Julie, you got it. I got you. Um the intermittent fasting can be a huge benefit. One of the things, and the science proves it, absolutely. But one of the things that's happening is because of this nutrient deficiency, which absolutely can happen in these intermittent fastings, you can kind of mess yourself up pretty good. If you do it, sometimes I will suggest highly that you don't fast just, you may food fast, but make sure you get your vitamins and the good stuff you need, because we're already deficient in so many different things just based on the environment we're in. We don't get the nutrients that we used to out of the soil. So make sure you're taking something. You can get a liquid multivitamin and it's not really, a fasting situation. So, or I'm sorry, it's not going to break a fast necessarily. But a lot of times people do this strict fasting, works really, really well, can mess up your gut brain barrier or gut brain interaction, because you have this gut, right? You have your gut and you have a brain connection. If that gets messed up, you can have issues. I'll give you an example myself. I've tried all of them. Intermittent fasting was one, but sometimes it would make you feel a little crazy. I do it for a bunch of days and I'm like, man, I'm feeling good. And so because it makes you feel good, you stay with it. And then eventually you're like, oh, I just don't, I'm irritated more, kind of like that hangry, but all the time because you're intermittent fasting. And the first few days you do it, it's fine. Right. So intermittent fasting is kind of like a good example is a 12-hour fast. So you don't eat from 6 to 6, or you don't eat after 5, and you don't do breakfast till 8, big time differences. So there's a lot of different times you can do that. They also call it time restrictive eating. Time restrictive eating is where you stop at a certain point. Those are all really good data sets. I like what Dr. Rachel does. She has a whole program on not doing that, like small meals throughout a day, because it keeps that metabolism where you want it to be. I believe it's better nutrient value that way. So there's a lot of ways you can go. Intermittent fasting is one of those that just, it's going to be around for a long time. You could try it, and just kind of look it up. I have no ill will towards it, except for don't go to it every time as a staple. All right. Let's go into this one, because this one always bothers me. And this is the Gen after me. So anti-aging appearance focus. Gen Z's obsession with preventative anti-aging. Okay. So they're trying to prevent aging process, like early Botox, which is obscene, but whatever. And beauty supplements is spiking, driven by TikTok and Instagram. This is a research place. McKinsey notes 53% of Gen Z spent more on cosmetic procedures in 2024 and likely going to keep going. Many products lack long-term safety data, and social media filters, visuals can distort expectations. What's happening currently is there's a few things, and it's a mind screw, people. Please understand that. Some of these things that they're going to tout as beauty are really, really hurting you. Okay. Botox is botulinum toxin. Botulinum toxin. The cells get, it's not a good thing. Okay. So just please understand that it's not natural. There's no data that supports that it's good for you. I guarantee you. Yeah, you might get a result that you think is really good, but think about that natural beauty, right? We should do that as a time. There's great things out there in the herbal world to, help the beauty out, without literally hurting yourself. Of course, plastic surgery is a bad thing. Yeah. Remember the skin itself, okay? The skin of your body is the biggest organ of your body. It has cells and receptors and all these things. We need to take care of it like we would with our stomach. We wouldn't stick a toxin in our gut. We do all the time, actually, but for drugs, terrible food, we do it all the time. But if we in a perfect world, we'd have really natural things, right? That put in our stomach. Why would we put it on? Why would we put chemicals and bake them all over our skin? Why would we inject these chemicals into our skin and our muscles? That's a thing to just watch, and it's very concerning that kids are doing it way, way early to prevent, these things, because the people they know are on social media. I, put there's all these filters. There's all these filters on all these people. It's not fair. These people don't look like that in real life. Let's be honest. So then you have that. So these kids go, oh my gosh, she's beautiful. On this 3 times filtered, video of this kid, and they want to look like that. And so that's the problem. We just got to keep telling these kids, and I'm serious. And it's not just kids, everybody. There's so many beautiful people out there. And it's, like the more and more I've done chiropractic, it has been amazing how many gorgeous, it's just they're just, everybody has their own beauty. Do not go by the social media. I know this is a pep talk to probably the wrong crowd, but please don't hurt yourself with things. When you put a toxin in your body, the innate intelligence of each and every cell gets affected. It gets diseased. That causes problems. Okay. So just please remember that as we go forward. All right. So those are kind of the trends this week. Let's go into Dr. Mercola because he's awesome. Dr. Mercola is in the good kind of news, usually. All right. Ooh, I like this one. So this is an article by Dr. Mercola. This popular kitchen staple may do more than you think. Ooh, we just talked about this. Apple cider vinegar supports digestion, blood sugar balance, and it helps satiate your appetite and stabilize your energy after meals. Just 1 tablespoon, that's all you need, diluted in water, can help participants lose weight, shrink waistlines, and eliminate digestive symptoms in under 30 days, according to a recent study. Apple cider vinegar active compound is acetic acid. It improves insulin sensitivity and reduces fat formation by helping the body burn glucose more efficiently and store less fat after meals. Apple cider vinegar also works topically around the home. Use it to treat dandruff, reduce nasal congestion, sanitize toothbrushes, and soothe the bloating, acid reflux, or minor infections. Consuming undiluted vinegar can damage your teeth and esophagus, and in combining it with medications like insulin or diuretics can be dangerous, cause dangerously low potassium. That's one reason you have to be really, really careful with apple cider vinegar. People are taking it by the boatload because of what? Because it says weight loss in it. Now people are taking too much of it, causing their own thing. Now, remember, the vinegar can do what? I don't want it to have you damage your teeth. So make sure it's a nice diluted. The idea behind it, too, is apple cider vinegar kind of increases and makes your pH balanced in your stomach, which is great because then you can start working on that gut microbiome again. And so it can be a huge one that you can add, but just don't add too much because otherwise you'll start adding things. And like they said, if there's other prescriptions in there that lower your potassium is very important. And you can have, if your potassium's off, you are off. I guarantee that. So just remember that. Be careful with apple cider vinegar, but it does have some good benefits to things. And it has a little bit of that diet. I've done apple cider vinegar for a bunch of months now. And, the diet suppression could be a thing. I actually reach out to me. I have another herbal in the hops family that I'm working on right now. And it helps with what they call interstitial, how would I say it? The fat around organs. So you have the fat that's you have your outside fat and so it gets rid of some kind of fat cells, which is really cool. So it's one of those, I'm experimenting with it now before I blow it up on you guys. But so remember that one, but apple cider vinegar a little bit could really help balance that gut microbiome, because if that is good, then the cells of your body will be happy. Okay. So that was a good one. All right. Oh, let's go through this one just to make sure you guys understand. I've had a few patients that we've talked a lot about with this. Metal exposure linked to childhood gut health. And this is by Dr. Mercola as well. So heavy metal exposure in children disrupts gut microbiome balance, affecting digestion, immune function, and mental health from everyday sources like food packaging and cookware. Research shows children with elevated metal levels had reduced beneficial bacteria and altered microbial function, with 490 different metabolic pathways affected by metal concentrations. A specific combination of prenatal metal exposure, like a high zinc, high cobalt, and gut bacteria, was linked to depression scores of almost 16% higher in children that had the metal problem. Metal microbe interactions create two-step mechanism where toxic exposure first alters the gut bacteria and then interferes with mood-regulating chemicals and immune balance. Some simple household changes like filtering water, avoiding aluminum cookware, eliminating secondhand smoke exposure, choosing whole foods help significantly reduce the children's metal burden. Okay. So one of the things I would take away from that article, other than, the aluminum cookware, a lot of these processes, remember plastics, right? So plastics, there's some metal in the ultra processed foods, those kind of things, those heavier metals, lead, think about lead. So we wouldn't let them eat paint chips. Many of my parents thought I did, but now they know that lead must not have been a bad thing. I'm just kidding. So lead is a big thing. I've had a couple of patients that had to have their children go through some major metal detoxes. I suggest highly, if a kid has any kind of attention problems or anything like that, you get that part of them checked. And it's really not the metal causing the ADHD and all those kind of things. There's another step everybody misses in the natural world even. They do a metal detox, but what don't they do? They don't fix the gut microbiome. You should always do that. So you get rid of the metal, and then you have some more work to do. You have to fix their gut microbiome. Happens with my adults too. So just remember that. Okay. So when we get heavy metal exposure from aluminum, from all these different toxicities in the environment, this is where you want to go. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful. That it makes sense if you connect the two, and that way you can get more of a result. Let's say you have a kid or somebody in your family that struggles with the attention deficit and the different, just anything, Asperger's, all those different situations. And let's say you're doing a lot of different training. There's some amazing training out there, right? I recommend always chiropractic. You can find a specific kind of therapist for the other pieces, but this is the other one. Metal testing, make sure their heavy metals are not off. And then making sure their gut microbiome is correct, right? That's the key that changes when I work with a kid anyway. But that's why we have some really good results. But so that's one of the keys. Okay, so just remember that heavy metal is linked to gut problems in kids. All right. Ooh, okay. So let's go over this because I have some good herbal situations for it. All right. So this will be my last one from Dr. Mercola. This is insomnia and sleeping pills raise the risk of disability in older adults. Chronic insomnia and the frequent use of sleeping pills significantly increases the risk of disability in older adults, especially in daily activities like dressing, walking, and bathing. Research tracked over 6,700 adults ages 65 and older for 5 years and found a clear link between poor sleep and loss of independence over time. For every increase in insomnia frequency, disability scores rose by like 0.2 points the following year. Regular use of sleeping pills raised it 0.19 points. Okay, that was weird paragraph. Anyway, when insomnia and sleep medications use were combined, the risk of becoming disabled was even higher, making nightly sedative use especially dangerous for older individuals. The study recommends safer solutions like he suggests cognitive behavioral therapy, lifestyle changes, or natural remedies to support real restorative sleep without harmful side effects. All right, I got a lot to say on this one. In my herbal world, there is a ton of options for sleep. Okay. You start with the basics. If you're over 65, then we talked about this before. This was last Whole Health Weekly. We talked about melatonin. Melatonin is one that we caution it in children because it's a hormone that your body creates. Kids can't be on that for a long time because then their melatonin stores, your body's intelligent. It starts not making melatonin, therefore making you addicted to it. When you're older, you don't produce as much melatonin. So sometimes stimulating it with melatonin can be a really, really good thing and actually put you to sleep. So I suggest that one highly and just see how it goes, right? So that's one. Some people, so here's the problem with melatonin though. Melatonin initiates sleep. It doesn't keep you asleep. Okay. So that's one of the problems. So you fall asleep, you get up again, it ain't working again. Right. So there's several choices that you have, especially in the herbal world. The next one that's very common is called the valerian root. Valerian is one where it doesn't really initiate sleep, right? So it doesn't do that, but it keeps you in kind of that REM relaxation throughout a night a lot better. So valerian has been studied to do that. Now, some people it doesn't work. Now, two parts of that. One is a lot of times they're not taking what they call the therapeutic dose of it because they just went and got valerian root and it said take 1 or 2 a day, and then that's what they do. And then they're like, this stuff doesn't work. And so you go back to the sleeping pill because it's this knockout drug that they always have the advantage. Drugs will always have the advantage because they're chemical makeup. So they're a chemical makeup to do that, to knock it out and to be better than the natural remedies. So valerian, sometimes you have to take more than the therapeutic, or you have to take the therapeutic dose. So that's where, coming in to see me or, figure out what that is with your doctor. Now, the coolest part of one of the coolest things about being this herbalist thing is I learned a ton of other ones. One that helps me a lot if I ever have that issue is hops. Hops is fantastic. Ask your doctor before you take it, even though it also acts as you guys probably remember, it's a good digester, right? So it's a good gut health situation there. Hops is really good. It's nice and mellow. It'll help you sleep. Chamomile. Chamomile is another one, probably the safest of all the herbs that are out there. Very nice. Very nice if it works for you. And so a lot of times I will tell, you hear chamomile and you're thinking tea right away. If you get a really good tincture, though, the chamomile really it'll hit you, it'll knock your socks off. So there is a ton of options for people to sleep in the natural world. The problem is we have to give it time. Remember one of our principles. I can't remember which chiropractic principle it is, but it says no process in nature does not require time. Everything in nature has to be stepped through time. It's not going to work overnight, and you got to kind of get your body built up to it. And if you're allowing yourself to be patient with these different remedies, I've seen it change over and over again. Okay. Because it's very scary that we're starting to get some what they say disability. Okay. Let's talk about that. When they say a disability in the elders, they mean a lot of the things: forgetfulness, getting up, physical limitations, falling, right? When they say that word, that's what they mean. The big things like medical. If somebody comes in, you can rate their disability. Are they going to trip over their own feet? Are they steady on their feet? Can they get up out of a chair? Can they see? Right? All these different things. So disability is a big range. And if if you're taking multiple different things to sleep, not only is the sleep deprivation going to get you, now they're saying that because you're taking those pills, you're not getting good sleep, essentially, and that causes you the problems. So is it worth, looking into something else? Absolutely. These natural ones will hopefully put you in the REM sleep. Another cool one is passion flower. Passion flower is really nice as a tea. I tell people, a lot of people that love servicing people, passion flower is a really, really good one as well. So those are some options for you on that article. I love that. That was a good article. I like that. So those are the kind of things I always like doing on Whole Health Weekly. Just finding good articles that you guys probably didn't see over the radar because everything's, chaos. All right. Oh, let's do this one. I'll do one more article. Let's do one more article from Dr. Mercola because this one's pretty interesting. He had a lot of good ones this week. Is chewing gum bad for your health? Interesting. Chewing gum. Both aesthetic and chewing gum. Shocking me a little bit. With an average person ingesting 30,000 microplastics annually from gum alone. Dear Lord. Okay. Okay. So we're understanding this is probably a problem. All right. Chewing gum is a parafunctional activity that causes or worsens TMJ disorder, leading to jaw pain, headaches, and even tooth fractures with prolonged use. While gum increases saliva production, which helps neutralize acids and reduce cavity risk, this benefit does not outweigh the risk of the plastic ingestion and the jaw strain. The jaw strain is a little push. I don't know if that's necessary, especially if you're, if your spine is balanced. If your neck is balanced and your jaw is balanced, I don't know if that's a big deal. But the microplastics thing just blew my mind right there. Researchers found that 94% of microplastic particles detach within the first 8 minutes of chewing, suggesting the brief gum use significantly increases plastic exposure. Holy crap. That's wild. Okay. And they suggest some healthy alternatives: sipping water, coconut oil. It's called oil pulling. Oh, I'll have to look that up. There's so many things in holistic that tongue scrapers. That's interesting. Or chewing fresh ginger before for breath freshening without harmful effects. So stay away from some toothbrush or I'm sorry, some gum. I think that makes sense. Now that I think about it, every time you bite into that thing and it's kind of crunchy because it's all the like fake sugars probably and the fake flavors that the microplastics have in them. Whoa, that kind of blows my mind a little bit. So there's that one. That was interesting. Okay, so for our final one, we're going to go into chiropractic research. So let's look and see if there's anything new that we can talk about tonight. All right. All right, that's cool. All right, here we go. The global chiropractic market, which is kind of interesting. This is a market growth, is projected to grow from 1.48 billion in 2024 to 2 almost at a billion by 2032, driven by demand for non-invasive pain management. Aha, see, there we go. Clinics in California and Texas are adopting AI-powered posture analysis systems to improve diagnosis and patient retention, that is cool. So that, so you're going to see that. I really want to see that AI stuff in the posture because that is a really good indicator of like how you're doing in all of health. So be watching out for me pulling out some AI, using it the proper way, like where we could actually have that kind of thing, the technology adoption in chiropractic. This is, oh, that one's dumb. Okay, so we don't want that one. Okay, let's go down to this one. All right. Okay. In diagnosis, okay, between chiropractors and neurosurgeons. So that in essence telling us that chiropractors are super accurate with low back pain diagnosis, which we kind of knew, but it's nice to have a study on that one. I really am appreciative that they even thought of that question because it would be nice to know, okay, is it like what does this neurosurgeon think, in a disc situation or those kind of things. And then the next one that's really cool, neuroplasticity. And we'll talk about this. There's a lot of research that's exploring chiropractic's impact on neuroplasticity, suggesting potential neurological benefits beyond pain relief. Okay, so that research article, which I hope to have the next time, neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to adapt and change. So plasticity is just molding, right? So your brain molding. So what they're suggesting, and I know it, I have Dr. Heidi Havik is fantastic. Hopefully I get to interview her at one point. But she has done a study where they put you put the brain sensors on, and then we adjusted the spine. What they noticed was a very increased activity in the brain, regardless of where it was in the spine. What that tells us is that there is reflexive activity every time you get adjusted. That's one reason why when you come into a chiropractor, you feel really good, right? You feel different. And the reason is your body is trying to reposition itself. Think about how good you can kind of feel that your computer's running slower over time because you've started using it a lot and all those kind of things. And then you do the kind of reboot or the, cleaning out the stuff that you don't need. And all of a sudden it's really fast and smooth again. That's kind of how your body works after a chiropractic adjustment. There have tons of research on it. It keeps coming out, which is great. Like I just absolutely love that part. We have to, you got to remember right now, especially in the research area, it costs so much for these research studies that chiropractic is just not even in that world, right? You're talking like they said, it's a $3 billion market. Drug manufacturers and stuff are in the trillions, right? The 2 billion is like a drop in the bucket, and they'll lose that in a lawsuit, and they don't even give a crap. So that's one of the problems that we have in that. So that's why I want to put a little emphasis into this chiropractic research. Anytime there's a little bit of like movement, I want you guys to know about that, because as chiropractic patients know that, like a lot of them know this is true, but it helps putting it on paper, right? So like Dr. Geimer used to say, and one of my favorites, he gets into, this is so funny. So we were in this meeting. It was a dinner. And never forget this. So you guys will like this. I'll end it on this story. So Dr. Geimer is in there. It's me, Dr. Geimer, who's the chiropractor I bought the practice from, for those that you don't know. And we're sitting next to this medical doctor. And so we're in this meeting, and Dr. Geimer shakes his hand. Shakes my hand, and I'm the cocky young one. So I'm like, nice to meet you, doc. Where's your practice and stuff? You ever been to a chiropractor? I'm like asking this MD all these questions. Dr. Geimer just sitting there, just quiet. He had been through the situation. He had been practicing since 1968. So in 1968, there wasn't a lot of love from MDs on chiropractic. It's changed quite a bit since then. And I'm mouthy. So I'm asking the guy, yeah, you ever been to a chiropractor? And the MD looks right at me and says, well, son, I don't really believe in a lot of things you do. I mean, there's not a lot of research out there. And Dr. Geimer, that's the time he decides to speak up. So Dr. Geimer turns to the guy and goes, did you know, doc, that looks right at the MD and says this, did you know, doc, there's not one research article in the entire globe that says that we should be brushing our teeth. But we kind of figured out is a good idea. And then he just keeps eating his dinner. It was classic. Yeah, it was one of those you have to be there. But if you knew Dr. Geimer, it was a glorious moment. It was like this MD is like, okay, well, guess what happened? The MD ended up coming in as a patient later, but he didn't want to be seen. So this is kind of funny. So he didn't want to be seen. So he came through the side door because he didn't want to see it, make sure, because all the trash talk he was talking to his patients years ago, he didn't want to see one of those patients in there. Oh, I'm sorry. Those stories make me laugh all the time. So with that, I love you all. Don't forget, if you want one of my carpal tunnel braces, Dr. Meyer's patented invention. I have 20 of them to give away. Well, 19 now. I got Julie. Julie already said something. So if you guys are on there later, even in the recording, put it up there. You might have a shot. Free one. But the rule is, if you do a free one, you got to do a little selfie and tell me if you like it. Okay. With that, you guys have a great 4th of July. In Battle Creek, Michigan, it's fun. There's a nice air show. I don't have to go very far. So if you're in Battle Creek, enjoy that air show. It looks like it's going to be gorgeous. So with that, have a great night.